Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone before me has pretty much spoken on behalf of what I feel and how we should try to make the plan for a better Lahaina. I just want to go back to the day of the fire. On that day, I was working at the hotel, and from where I work, I can see Lahaina, and I could see the smoke getting closer. And I realized at 5:25, it was getting close to my home in Lahaina. And I asked my supervisor to leave work because I need to check on my mother. She's 87 years old at the time. There was no evacuation. There was no radio announcement, no siren, and that's my big concern. If I didn't have the decency and the grace of God to kick me behind and get home, my mother would have been alive today. And I blame that on the system. It is BS that we had to go through that, and we need to protect a future of Lahaina town by making it work. What are the plans? There's no evacuation. There was no, like the brother said earlier, about cops going in and telling people it's time to leave. If I didn't make it home that time, my mother wouldn't be alive today.
For all intents and purposes, we don't leave Lahaina. We want to stay here. There's no reason why these hotels cannot open up. The amount of units that there are in this industry can swallow up all of Lahaina quite easily. Of course, it'll probably be just a matter of dividing everybody up, perhaps. But get plenty of room for us. I know that already. So that being said, all of us in Lahaina, we're in it for the long haul. We know that. But this industry, come on, only 2 months and you just give up already? They gotta be in it for the long haul too. Why? We built this industry. This industry is dependent on us. They like us get back to work because they know, even the governor knows, and this is why this is very much plantation mentality, that once we get back into the grind, it's hard to stop. So it becomes not only a distraction, but a deterrent. It is a deterrent. It deters us. Now, you think we're going to go work all day? We go to a meeting at night. You think that's what we do? You think that's fun? You think that's part of the quality of life for the people who live here? Of course not. We don't like going to a meeting at night after you just work all day, slaving in the tourism industry, or whatever industry. This is all a deterrent, deterring us from being part of the solution, deterring us from being at the table. So that's why we got to push this back right now and get it happening before the 8th comes.
I leave it in your hands. We need to figure out a way to make this work and stop having this go over and over with the electrical lines dropping. We're rebuilding and putting up those power lines, and it's useless because every 4 or 5 years they snap break, and then there's another road closure. And we're getting tired of this. This has been going on for 50 years. Let's make a plan. It's time to stop and think about the people in Lahaina because we have nowhere to go. We need a new hospital that we've been talking about for how many years? We can build that stupid bypass, and where did it go? It stops at Keawe Street. Give us more roadway for us to safely leave Lahaina when it is, if there's a tsunami or the fires. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Kelly Kiahi. I am a Lahaina resident whose house did burn down. I have been displaced to Wailuku. And since I have been over there, I haven't been back to Lahaina very often, but coming in today, I got here really early and signed up to testify. And one of the things that I saw was just how our island is dying. Everything's dead. It's just dried up. The very essence and the beauty of what this place used to be is no longer. The people are being suffocated out of here. And we can't go back to what was not working before this fire. We cannot. We have to move on. We have to do better and do better for the people. One of the things I would like to really see is accountability of the land and the landowners. And we have to have somebody in place to make sure that there are fines and penalties and repercussions for not taking care of that land. There should be, whether it be goats or sheep or cattle or something up there grazing to keep the grass down. What have we not learned from 2018? And today we lost our town because we did nothing from the 2018 fire. Look where we are now. It's sad, you guys. As far as the town being reconstructed, my family builds. We built our own home in Lahaina. And we had to have a certain standard of way we built our house, which was, historical. And then I see all these homes on Front Street that look like something out of LA, and, boxed and squared and modern. And I don't get how those guys got away with that. But we had to be held to a certain standard. We got to have standards in the rebuilds. And if we're going to be in a historic town, it needs to be historically rebuilt. And there has to be repercussions for people that are breaking that. I'm sorry, but let's all be fair here. As far as Mala Wharf and as far as Lahaina Harbor, we need to make sure that Mala Wharf is for the residents. We can no longer have businesses conducting business out of Mala Wharf. Lahaina Harbor needs to be rebuilt to sustain those businesses as well, and they need to come out of Lahaina Harbor. No more Mala Wharf. It's POW. It shouldn't even be up for discussion in closed doors without the residents there to have a say about it. We fought long and hard for Canoe Beach as far as businesses down there. That's our practice field for the canoes and for the high school and the canoe clubs. And I don't want to see these boat businesses over there trying to have access through Waikuli so they can launch their boats and, conduct their business over here. We're not ready. Lahaina town is not ready for all of this. We're going back to work, but we got to do better this next time around, you guys. Please accountability and get the roads fixed. We got to have access all the way down and out and not be trapped. I was on the other side of Lahaina Luna, and getting out of town was really hard because the poles were all over the road. You can't have poles next to the road anymore, you guys. Do better.
I am a Kumu Kayapuni here with our entire Ohana of Lahaina and our Keiki Kayapuni. And I grew up down Mala on Ala Moana Street, right next to Lahaina Jota Mission, and I am just one of thousands who were impacted by the deadly wildfire on August 8th. Our Nagasako family home that we lived in on A'a Street was completely destroyed. As you guys listen to all the mona'o that will be shared today to develop a comprehensive recovery and resiliency plan for Lahaina, I hope that you keep the voices of our people, our kama'aina with generational ties to this place at the forefront of every decision that you make from here on out. As Ohana continue to search for long-term temporary housing, I believe that our emergency efforts should be focused on places more north of Lahaina, where people have access to safe water and safe access to stores and local businesses that we can continue to support.
Let me tell you a little story. On Monday, as our keiki over there, as an entire school took our keiki to Kapalua Bay, to Holo Holo, and learn about our Lawai Pono from our Makua, we encountered tourists who told our keiki who are fishing now, learning their traditional cultural practice in our place. We come to us who were fishing to move so they could set up their beach day because they needed shade. Yeah. When some of our Makua attempted to reason with them, letting them know about the situation of the keiki in the community, guess what they said? I don't care. Why should I? I came here to enjoy my vacation. While they're trying to call the cops and argue about the right to be there, their toddler got swept up in the surf and tossed around. And it was one of our Makua that took care of them, pulled them out of there. You guys had your chance to build how you see fit, to control the resources and policies, to cause the conditions that set the stage for this disaster. People stayed in their homes to protect all they worked for under this system, to protect that they worked work to the bone for their entire lives, for scraps and to cling to it until we perish? Never again. Lahui consciousness is about abundance for all, peace for all, safety for all. Let the community, not the developers, not the speculators and transplants, and surely not the American imperialist ideologists, plan for our future. If you're still talking tourism, if you're still talking building more, and you're still talking taking our resources for this economy, or for this tourism, whatever, for their play.
4 minutes.
You are perpetuating a problem, and you need to either pivot and align with the broader Hawaiian national consciousness and local community, or go back where you came from.
Aloha. My name is Kekai Kiahi. I don't have to repeat anything everybody said. I think our community is unreal with how they express themselves. So I can focus on something else. What I worried about is in the rush to rebuild, we go back to what we was doing before there and kind of put us in this situation. And what I'm referring to is the water. The Laniopoko Aquifer, which consists of Laniopoko and the Lahaina town up to the Civic Center, and the Honokawai Aquifer, which consists of all of Honokawai. You guys need to understand this. In a Honokawai sector, there's a sustainable yield that you can draw from the ground that you can draw consistently. We have surpassed that sustainable yield. We're at 106%. We have no water. In the Lahaina section, we're at 95%. So even if we wanted to build more, we don't even have the water capacity to do so. In fact, 20 years ago, they already started to witness the salinity levels in these wells rise. And so what was the county's reaction to that? Divert Kanaha stream, dilute this water, and then serve it back to the community. We had a problem. They so-called fixed it by illegally diverting the stream, and then they issue out more permits. And guess what? We're right back to the same position again, and we're back to drawing salt water from the aquifers again. So, what is the solution? We produce about 5 to 6 million gallons of R1 water. Okay, right now we just dump them down into an injection well. The county was sued because of that. That R1 water we can use for irrigation. We just need to develop the system and the infrastructure to get this water back across to Lahaina and use this. Gang, we should go to a dual meter system. One for R1 water that you can use for your grounds, wash your car, keep our pots green, so we're not paying that $500 fine when we overuse our water. The second is for the drinking water for your home. By using that 5 or 6 million, let's just say 5 million gallons of R1 water, we keep 5 million gallons of that water in the ground to replenish our aquifers that's already depleted. 5 million gallons a day, 35 million gallons a week, 1,820,000,000 gallons a year we save and replenish our aquifers with that water. Simple, man. But if we don't push the use of that water, and we're going to think we're going to build back, we're headed for the same disaster. We cannot go back to doing the same thing. Some of you may know, I kind of did a cute little challenge on Facebook. Let's try and reforest Lahaina. And I got like 50 kukui trees, and the thing would explode. People from all around the state want to help. Maui High School and their ag department restructured the entire ag system, Kapara is telling me, to reforestation of Lahaina. If we guys understand, the trees that we need to reforest this area are going to bring that water back, going to pull that rain out of that mountains, like the Hawaiian proverb. Yeah, where the forest go, the rain go. So we got to change our mindset, get rid of that continental ideology that we're holding on to, thinking that our resources are limitless, that we're going to continue to build as if we get water forever. We live on an island. We need to go back to what we understand about islands. Island people all around the world know how to live on a planet Earth better than anybody else, because what is Earth but an island in the universe? So we understand about conservation. That's what I get about the water, and I think that's something real doable. If they can build a rail and that we pay for too, also over here, we should be able to put it on pipe in the ground and bring them across the line. Pretty simple. One more thing. This is what I fear. Because we're in the heat of things right now, people energized. But over time, we won't get lazy. We need to dominate the discussion. We need to dominate the meeting. We need to be here every single meeting. Because if not, we're going to go back right to what we was doing. When I say dominate, we need to dominate the system, the meetings, everything about how we're going to rebuild back our place.
What I was going to start with was we need to set the waters free, but, he already said that, and I think that's an awesome solution for what he's saying. So, that was that. After the water situation, because we do need that first, I would like to see more secured housing for kupuna and the working class of Lahaina families. A solution to diversify to stop West Maui from having to count on tourism for survival. We need mandated fire breaks everywhere. And the idea of burying the electric lines or solar or hydroponics or whatever are all great ideas. It's ideas for solutions. This is why we're here. This is why you are here. Lahaina was once known as Malu'ulu'olele, where it thrived with green, with water, with life. Lahaina wasn't dry before. We never have evacuations because of fires. That wasn't even a thing. At least I don't remember that, and I'm only 37. I do remember ulu trees, noni, mango trees, star fruit, even lychee was all over Wahikuli. Ulu trees, mango, noni, choke plumeria trees was all over town when I was young. Now most of it, if not all of these fruit trees, are completely gone because our water is scarce. I would love to see the restoration and protection of Moku'ula and Mokuhinea, our most sacred place. I would like to see the stop of commercial activities down Mala Wharf. This boat ramp was built for the community, and now it's overrun by commercial tours. I work at Star Noodle, so every night at the sunset time, you see these cruise boats come in, and they come in close. I mean, I don't think that's legal for how close they're coming in. They coming like they touching reef kind. That's not okay. We make videos. I know people sell them into the deal and on. Nothing happens. The next night, they're still there. They're there every night. I would like to see you guys hold these private developers and greedy business owners accountable for the wrongdoings they have always committed, and they keep doing it in our community. Alexi Peter Martin and everybody like him banned from Maui. I like him 86. I know that's wishful thinking, okay? I get it. And I know some of you guys up here is for him. I know that too. But you know what? It's the truth. It's how we feel. I look at our town, our homes, our Aina. We look like when war zone in Baghdad. This one happened because we never have water.
3 minutes.
I look Lanyo Poco still green, their yards and pools full of water. That don't make sense to me. We need to see control on rent gouging. I would like to see vacation rentals gone from every neighborhood. On the whole island, lots of us lost everything, and the very little some of us may have left, we going to fight for that. We will always fight this fight. We tired of being ignored. And I know Tamar Pelton been fighting hard because I see that. I'm asking everybody to fight harder for your districts and our county. Help us against the governor and his affiliates. The governor rushing our kids to go back to school into one danger zone so parents, quote unquote, get child care so they can go back to work and service the tourists, right? That's why I feel it's being rushed. And that's the
4 minutes.
We need you to kako us on every issue and every concern. You guys cannot expect us residents that, work in the tourism industry for give out aloha. I mean, I don't feel like we're capable of that right now. Kapo aloha don't exist right now. At least not to me. And I feel like I can talk for plenty of us. Why? Because we mad, we angry. If something no change and decisions keep being made without public input that affects us and our town, which then affects our whole lives, civil disobedience is inevitable. Put the residences and our keiki first and get our water restored.
First of all, you guys need acting lessons, because you smirking while she's talking, as she's talking about how we need to get rid of Peter Martin. The water in Hanakauai is being illegally diverted to the hotels. They renewed the lease that was not their right to renew. So that's being illegally diverted, and I'm sure it's happening on the rest of Lahaina. You want to talk about evacuation routes? How about the 8-foot wide tunnel the county put in on Lahaina Luna, from Lahaina Luna down to Front Street, that every family could have evacuated through? But no, nobody knew about that, did they? Brand new fiber optics, brand new water pipes. Do I need to go make a video of that? I'll do that next. And the governor, Josh Green, all he does is lie through his teeth. He sits here and tells us no tourists until October 8th. I find tourists the very next day in the Papakia. What are they doing in Hanakauai? Why am I kicking out tourists out of our camp every single day, stealing our supplies, coming up to me asking for Dramamine for their cruise so that they don't have to buy it at the store, taking our toilet paper, taking our water? Why am I kicking out undercover feds, FEMA, Air Force, whatever they are, coming in, acting like they're volunteers, trying to spy on me and John? So everything the governor's doing is the opposite of what he tells the public. So if he's covering up every action, all of this is too obvious. The smart city plan was shut down, and so now he puts an emergency proclamation taking away all zoning and rebuilding codes so that he can do whatever the he wants. And I need everybody out of Lahaina. We need a third-party investigation, one that the governor does not have any control over. The only way Lahaina is going to get rebuilt for the people is by taking down Josh Green and every single person getting paid off with them.
I am Pailiki Okona. I'm a resident of Lahaina. The state that we are all in now, not only in Lahaina, but across the state of Hawaii, we're in a state of exploitation. Hanani K. Trask puts it as our people, our environment, and our culture is the prostitute, and the state of Hawaii is the pimp. But even in that transaction, the prostitute makes something out of that. So we are not, I think she puts it lightly actually, we are not in a state of prostitution. We're in a state of unknown slavery to the system. We're the slaves to the system, and our kia'i, our vigilant community, and our hopeful keiki are the ones who bear the brunt of this, of the aftermath, leaving us to pick up the pieces. Now, there are so many open wounds that need to be addressed today, but I'm going to try and focus on just two. The first topic in creating a more resiliency plan for the future is to give the community more opportunities to sit at the table and let our voices be heard. Because we don't deserve a seat at the table, just that, because we own that table. And any issues that arise that was created at the state and the county level, who came with the solutions? The community did, yeah? So I was kind of hoping I would get the crowd prior involved in this, but just as an example, can I get a show of hands of how many people in here were consulted about the October 8th reopening of tourism on the west side? I don't even have to look behind me because I know there's not one hand stand up now. How many people in here, show of hands, who want the October 8th date to be postponed and are not ready for tourism to return to Lahaina? That being said, that's my 500 people that was here against your 200 people, Josh Green, yeah? Spreading lies like he always has been. Secondly, I would like to touch on this our tourism industry. Now, as we look into the future, especially in Lahaina, there is a clear need for a more authentic Hawaiian experience. What has been sold, that cliche image of that has been sold to our visitors of endless sunshine, sandy beaches, and rainbows barely skims the surface of the profound richness of Hawaii and its people and its culture. That narrative is peddled. That is peddled is a cheapened ideology appealing to the masses, but there's a cost at selling cheap. We attract transient interests, missing those who'd value our true essence. We've been selling in bulk on an island where resources are finite. So it's time we shift that narrative from Hawaii being a mass destination to a place of invaluable experiences and underscoring the unique essence and the values of our island. But before we speak on tourism, because we have all of our eggs in one basket right now, we should diversify our economy first and foremost. Now, we need to incentivize regenerative tourism, tours that incorporate ideas of aloha aina. And in our peak seasons in Hawaii, or in Maui, we have 100,000 visitors on island. If a quarter of them went up into the mountain and was able to replant and get an authentic Hawaiian experience and plant just 4 trees, if just a quarter of them went, that's 100,000 trees that we could be replanting. Yeah? Our state still generates revenue. We rejuvenate and revitalize our environment, and we have a workforce paying to work for us. This is a holistic opportunity that's a win-win across the board, even though the state of Hawaii does not deserve to win. We also create an industry that incentivizes Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian language. So we're going to create a need for that. So down the line, we're going to need people to be working. People can, our entire system can huli, our entire education system can huli, and we can prioritize
4
giving
minutes.
Hawaiian language and Hawaiian culture to people. Last thing I want to share is in regards to people struggling financially. And that being basically the sole purpose of why Josh Green made his decision to open October 8th, because of finances, right? Governor Green still has $200 million in discretionary funds that he can use to support Lahaina without any legislative approval. And that's over $25,000 per family, per displaced resident in Lahaina. So that's also an option.
I was raised in the Wahi of Lahaina for most of my life, and my ties to this place go back generations. I remember my father telling me stories about his childhood in Lahaina. And it's so different from my own today. He told me stories about the mano and about how his family would sustain themselves off of this land, yeah. And weeks before the fire, I was working as an educator for Huiova Akaulu, and I was sharing these stories with my students. And I was telling them about Mokohinia and why we're named Malu'ulu Olele. And the questions I kept getting are, where is that? Because when you look around, it's not the same. Our people are self-sustaining. We are resilient. We do not need these industries that are in place today. And I know that might be controversial, but I believe that to be true. And I think the way we have handled this whole situation just proves that. It's time to put our people first. All of my life, I've seen us being treated as second-class citizens in our own home. And we are told that we need these outsiders in order to survive, and it is not true. It is not true.
Velina mai ka kou o vau o Kalikolehua store, no ho vau ma leali'i Lahaina. I'm a graduate of Lahaina Luna High School, class of 1998. I was raised under many mentors such as Earl Kukahiko Jr. I have a great understanding of what Lahaina Luna has birthed, and you're looking at them. If 1831, 1835, David Malo became a scholar, and the purpose was to build scholars and to create the olelo no'eau that many of us have a deep understanding is ho'okahi vale no leo a ualava. One voice is enough. And that voice is, our kupuna teach us, our ike kupuna is simple. The mea kanu have been planted for such a reason. If we know that Pu'ukukui at the summit has been the second rainiest place on earth, simple. If our keiki understand, our wamoke kuleana, they understand kulia ikanu, again, it's simple. We're one voice. And we don't just have an understanding of today. We have understanding from things that have been written from 1831. If our keiki kayapuni, our keiki of Lahaina, understand olelo no'eau, my charge to all of you is to understand it as well. Aloha.
Waipuna lau me ke aloha. E ka kone, o au o kumuku'u I Povauko, he kumu ma ke kula kayapuni o Lahaina. I'm the third grade teacher at Princess Nahiana Elementary, and I'm actually from the Ahupua'a of Waikapu on Wailuku side. And I only come here on behalf of Lahaina not on behalf of Lahaina, Kalamai, but in support of Lahaina, its people and its community on what they have to say, with the understanding that the rebuild of Lahaina should be for Lahaina, by Lahaina, and nobody else. With this understanding, I'm in support of whatever the Lahaina Kaiaulu has to say, because I have seen within the last week their capability to, within their hurt and with everything going on, rebuild a kaiapuni for our keiki on this side in Lahaina, Kaiaulu, pretty much from scratch. And we have moved so that we can be in our second week, kalamai, ha'alulu keia, in our second week of kaiapuni on our huaka'is, doing what they need to do, and teaching our keiki that it does not take a standing building to create the community, the education, and the knowledge that they need to grasp from the land, right? No leila, me o, I feel that kaiapuni o Lahaina should also, as we have mentioned before, come together to be as one, because we have seen the lengths and bounds of what it has done for our keiki, what kaikaina, kaikua, and our relationships can do for these haumana, and also what our aina can do for us if we just bring it back, help it flourish, and put all the systems back where they belong, as Ahupua'a once flourished and helped us rebuild our community in that way. Mahalo.
Ke aloha nui a kakoa pou o wau o Kaunaoa Garcia, ke kupa o ka aina o ka ulula au, nola na I mai au. He kumu kaiapuni au, ma ke kula kaiapuni au nahi ana, ua a'o wau no iwa ka alua a oi makahiki. Aloha everybody. I am a kupa, I am a native of Lanai a Ka'ulula'au. And if you know the story of Ka'ulula'au is from Lahaina. So my ties to Lahaina is that Lanai and Lahaina connection. And I do have kupuna from Lahaina as well. Aloha, everybody. I've been a teacher over 23 years as a kumukaiapuni on Oahu, on Lanai, and on Maui at Kulakaiapuni on Nahi Ana. I've been here for almost 13 years with Kumuliko, and I wanted to let all of you know here that that's the mana'o I wanted to focus on was education. Mahalo e nā kupa o Lahaina, no ko'okoho ike ana mai ko mana'o kupa'a I ka aina, I ka vai, I nā ali'i o ke ia aina nei. Yeah, so if you don't know the history, Lahaina is rich in the ali'i that established our education system, our public education system, kaui ke auli, ka meha meha e kolu. He established that for our keiki, and it's still here till today. And if you don't know, it was in Olelo, Hawaii. Our education system was in Olelo, Hawaii. And I'm here to let you guys know, if you already didn't know, Hula Kayapuni o Lahaina started school on August 14th. So like Kumukuipo said earlier, we went back to school. We are not going to wait for anybody to tell us that we need to be back with our keiki. We all know that for our keiki to holomua and progress through this era, they need to be together. We need to be together. And we didn't wait for the DOE to tell us, you can go back to work today. We went back to work the week after this era. We met, we planned, and that is the result. Our keiki are back at school at Honokahua. Our makua, our kaya ulu is so ikaika that they took on that kuleana and didn't wait for the DOE to tell us, yes, you can go back to school. We are back at Kula. We are huakaing every day. We go to a vahipana of Lahaina every single day so that they can see the importance of this place and the various places of Lahaina that give us that mana to holomua.
3 minutes.
So, ke olu olu, could you please tell whoever you need to, we need a Kula Kayapuni o Lahaina, our own school for our keiki. And mahalo nui for all the kupa of Lahaina, holomua kako. Eo.
Kalamai, o Velo Ko'inoa. My name is Velo Maderas Nari. I am from Lahaina. I've been here, or our family has been here for many generations, to the point where my great-grandfather's Hawaiian name is actually Keka'a. So we have a lot of ties to Lahaina. My entire immediate family lost all of our homes in the fire. But anyways, point being, my husband is not from here. He's from a French island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The island is probably the same size as Maui, but it looks like Hawaii. And there's 900,000 people that live there. They have every single stream running, and not like Kahoma. Somebody tell me, oh, Kahoma's running. I lived next to it. If that's running water, I don't know what that is. My faucet runs faster than that stream. But every single stream we drove over in his home island was gushing with water. They have cane. That's part of what they do for their agriculture. They have tourism. But they figured out with the French government how to kind of balance it out with 900,000 people. We have like, what they said, 120,000 people that live on Maui. I know we have way more that visit. That's probably who takes all our stuff. But I don't understand why we can't have the same things when we're the second most wettest place in the world. Unless I missed something after all the years that I haven't been in school, that changed and we're no longer the second wettest place, then I have to go study up. The other part is we're Lahaina. Lahaina, it says Lahaina. Why don't we have things other than electric? Why is electric our main source of, our, what's it called? Hawaiian Electric. Why are they the only source of electricity in Lahaina that we have to focus on trying to bury these wires? You know, the day of the fire made me realize that as much as I thought we were ahead of the game and we have all these wonderful things and we're so advanced, we were stuck with nothing, with crappy poles and crappy wires that fell down every time like the times before. And now, unfortunately, they're back up again. And now they're going to be buried. Why can't we do solar? We live by the ocean. My husband's same island. They have hydro, where they actually use the water to make electricity, and they desalinize it so that they have fresh water to use from the ocean as well. We're worried about it moving up. Why don't we use some of it? I don't get some of this stuff. I'm sorry. I'm a hula dancer, and I take care of my kids. I'm here because my daughter's in Kayapuni, and I'm from Lahaina. A lot of things don't make sense to me why there's so much things that we're being saying no to. The buildings, why when we rebuild, why is it going to take so long for all these permits? What about these permits? All the zoning, why does zoning stay the same? My daughter, we went to San Francisco. She was trying to figure out how nice they build all their stuff. And they kind of build vertical because their land is, limited. And the fact that they have people who have a business and they live above their business. Why can't Lahaina be like that? Why was it restricted that we have to be separated from our businesses because that's what they say? But that's just some food for thought that I've been running in my mind all this time, and I just want to put it out there. But thank you. Mahalo.
Please begin. Thank you. Aloha mai kako. To heal the sea, we must heal the mountain. Everyone's footprint on the Aina matters. This week, I've met all sorts of experts who are working in their own way towards that exact cause. If we bring them together, we can expedite the regeneration of our Aina. every regenerative agriculture farmer I've met recognizes the need to heal the soil. I met soil experts whose passion is using microbiology to accelerate Mother Nature's natural processes by 100 times or more. That could be talking about breaking down debris in the zone. They're using science and technology to perform soil restoration. Brew Hut Maui wants to make this program free and accessible so that it's easy for all of us to participate. They're already working with some hotels to help eliminate their use of pesticides. I ran into them outside of here when I got here today. Weston is one of their companies that they're working with. George Purdy, a pioneer in LiDAR technology and creator of the Lanai Dryland Forestation Project, is ready to partner with these farmers and soil experts to significantly speed our recovery by working with technology. Drones with LiDAR technology allow for the detailed mapping of Maui's topography changes over time while letting one person cover much more ground and faster. This is what was expressed to us. That is a huge win and a prayer being answered by the farmers. George has partnered with schools all around Hawaii to teach about LiDAR drones and set up a pilot training program through UH, and his long-term plan is to create a mesh network of drone pilots in Hawaii. These are great jobs for our community. The thing about George's LiDAR mapping that has the regenerative farmers so excited is the fact that he is also a Hawaiian farmer. He understands planting according to the Hawaiian moon calendar and designing contour swells based around changing rain patterns. He grew up on Maui and has watched the effects of desertification get worse with time throughout the county. I think we all understand that we're at a pivotal moment. It is time to stand up and take a hard turn off our current path. We have this chance to truly heal our town. We must grow deeper roots and restore our soil, and those deep roots will help rebuild our water table. We can't grow that ulu if we don't have water. We must still work to fight for water rights, but we must do this in tandem with rebuilding and refilling our water table. It is important that we do this as a community, united. Right now, Maui County just needs to open the door to technology. Under the emergency proclamation, Maui County can say that we need LiDAR to map the topography of Maui as a part of the recovery for land restoration, and it's funded. It's incredibly important that we jump on this opportunity to catch up with the times. We must also remember to stay united as a community and lead with aloha. And then we can talk about the walkable front street that we all want. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Mike Whitehead. I'm an 84 graduate of Lion Luna. First of all, this could take a little longer than 3 minutes. I think the rules should be changed because what happened to Lahaina was not typical for a community meeting. This is not a typical community meeting. For myself, to get my frustrations and my ideas out in 3 minutes is kind of tough. And I understand we're trying to watch it, but this shouldn't be. Those rules should be changed. 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, but even that is too short. First off, the narrative bothers me. This was not a wildfire. This was a planned and choreographed fire of Lahaina town, and our town was burnt. I don't like seeing it or hearing called wildfires. We all know this was planned. At least that's my, and from everybody I've spoken with, believes. Why was there no water in the hydrants? I know people who were in the neighborhood that burnt, watched the hoses go down. We're the firemen who called it in and said there was no water. Second, I'm going to move this along just because I'm trying to be respectful of your rules, even though this should change. Land. We should all be allowed to build back. And those that want to relocate because of the devastation and can't handle it or don't want to deal with it, they can relocate. If they sell their land, there should be a moratorium to selling land to outside investors. Only Lahaina people should be able to buy. Get a list of everybody that doesn't own a home in Lahaina. Renters, long-term residents, not the kid on his parents' dime living in Lahaina and buying it through him. It should be residents of Lahaina. You should have a list, and any parcels that come up available should be available for Lahaina residents. That will give us the opportunity. All permits in Lahaina, single-family homes, should be revoked. That is what drove us out. That's what drove us out and drove up the property values. McMansions. I heard in an informational meeting, we're going to be allowed to put back their original home. That should include Front Street. All those McMansions were built in the 90s, and the county government, the county departments, everybody turned a blind eye. They were built within the setbacks. I know because I was in construction back then. I renovated 2 homes on Lahaina Road that were built in the 30s without taking down the roof. They got burnt in a fire too. If we're held accountable for building the original home, no McMansion should be. The original house should be, and if it was within the setback law, that should be allowed. But if not, then it needs to be moved back if they're going to change it. but no more McMansions on Front Street. If you want proof that we're treated differently, like it was said, I was being held to accountable for a National Historic District below the road for my windows. And yet the McMansions were being built because I didn't have a fat envelope of cash to pass under the table. That's the reality. That's the reality of what we live in. The rich take and we don't. You want proof? Who allowed West Maui Land to sell parcels of the mountain? They're carving the mountain. HCNS didn't own the mountain. Nobody owns that. If anything, it's for the Hawaiians. But yet we're carving into the mountains up there and no one's saying nothing. Why? Who allowed, and they just posted the anniversary like they're proud, who allowed the Cliff House to be renovated the way it's been renovated? That's not historical. I watched the roof come down. If the roof came down, there was no building that back because
3
it's
minutes.
on the ocean. Mortgages, everybody who lost a home, the government should be putting pressure on any bank that has a mortgage in Lahaina and giving at least a year and taking that 12 months and putting it on a back end to give these homeowners relief from their loans, not giving them a freebie. They'll pay it, but give them some freedom because they need help. We all need help. We need to build the toxic land. The narrative is the land is toxic. It's not inhabitable. That should be the choice for all of us to make. Some won't, and they will go with it. But when I was in the zone 1 that was cleared, and it's like everybody telling me about 10 years, this could affect you. And it could. But like I said, I worked in these old plantation homes. I renovated 2 of them, which is a simple painter's mask. That was 20 years ago. I'm still here, no signs of cancer. Everybody's different. Everybody should have the freedom of choice to go back to their land and build. The opening, this is going to be tough. We're focusing on October 8th. But you know what? It's going to be tougher for everybody because maybe some of us are dealing with it and deal with it better, but that there's a lot that I've seen that are freaking out in our community and still can't handle it and still can't deal with what happened to our town. It's only going to get worse. We got Halloween right after that. Thanksgiving rolls along into it, and then we're already going to see Christmas decorations. How do you think we're all going to feel? Should we open? I don't think so. But we need relief given. People who have loans, people who aren't fortunate to work. I am fortunate. I have been working. I'm still paying my bills. But we need help, and we need you guys to be different from what we know of our county government, the state government, and our former Maui County Council. Of all those years, we watched them give away Lahaina because they don't really care for us.
My name is Art Ford, and I've been a resident here on Maui for 23 years. I've been coming to Maui since 1969. My firstborn son was born here in 1973. I honeymooned here with my wife in 1970. And the one thing I want to preface this with is how I'd like to apologize to all of you that for your losses in Lahaina. You know, I feel a certain responsibility because I think many of us saw this coming. You know, over the years, the fires and the winds that blow here, and you know, I sat on my hands and didn't. It's always let's let somebody else do it. You know, the government will take care of that. It didn't happen, and we need to be a collective voice in moving forward with rebuilding Lahaina. One of the things that I've seen in my many years that I've visited and lived here is I've seen with over-tourism that locals have been pushed out. It's been a slow erosion of this progress. An example of that is the golf courses down in McKenna. You know, at one time we had 2 courses down there. We were welcomed as Kama'aina, and now it's a gated community. We're not welcome. $3 million to buy a lot down there. I've seen this over and over. Unfortunately, though, I will share something with you. Corporate America owns West Maui. They own West Maui. We talk about the economy, getting back to work and low-paying jobs. There's very few of us that own businesses here in West Maui. This is an example here, all these hotels. But I'm not going to talk about the past, though. I'd like to move forward, and I want to give some constructive issues that we can move forward with. Again, I came to Hawaii in 1968 thanks to the U.S. Navy. We have faced an onslaught of over-tourism and big money investors buying up our properties, helping to contribute to a huge housing shortage for locals. I just read an article today that said that there are more Hawaiians today living on the mainland than there are living here in Hawaii. There's something wrong with that picture, something wrong with that scenario. I'd like to propose a few changes, and some of it is going to be redundant. I know we've already talked about it before, but I'd like to plan a future here in Hawaii where locals can once again experience a gathering place, including, I won't see it myself in my lifetime, but my grandkids will, and I hope this
3
will be
minutes.
a gathering place for them to come to in the future. The changes I'd like to see, number one, is the utilities underground. That is a long overdue and it's redundant. Remove Front Street. Our greatest enjoyment here has come from the times when Front Street was closed. Let us make this a walkable, attractive greenbelt. Relocate the school and make a nice park where we can all enjoy it without the congestion. Extend the bypass now. Extend the bypass. That's a gauntlet down there. It's scary to come down the Kiawe Street. It was poorly planned. Another suggestion is remove the tracks of the old sugarcane train and let's create a bike lane and a walkway. And last, but probably just as important, I think all the workers here in West Maui need to have better pay so we don't have to subsidize. We're not having to
4
subsidize
minutes.
your housing.
Hey, good morning. My name is Kekoa, and Maui resident for over 42 years. I just want to say hello to the brothers and sisters. Like I said, the Ohana from Lahaina. One thing right now I'm feeling is that I will never forget August 8th, and I know what I was doing, but when I don't forget that, what happened, I was in Kihei. That reminds me of the anger I feel today, every day, but we're still moving on. So I just wanted to make sure that we never forget what happened, and hopefully I'm using that to motivate myself to stay on top of what we're doing. And I appreciate the community of Lahaina. Like I said, I've been here over 42 years, and I've enjoyed Lahaina. I'm a musician. I've enjoyed all of that, and I just want to give the people of Lahaina my condolences, care about you guys. I came to just share my manao, so I'm going to start doing that. A lot of people said what I was thinking about, but, just some simple things that we can, there's so many things. I just want to say a few things that we can wrap our minds around it. I feel like this generation is awesome. You guys are awesome as you take on these problems. My generation, they kind of moved on already, but you guys are carrying the torch. So I cheer you guys on. My Lord, through you guys with that. So one of the things bothered me was, oh wow, the utility poles fell down, and it really, a friend of mine was showing me a video. He was trying to get out of Lahaina, and the poles were falling down. They couldn't get out. So the way my mind thinks is like, okay, man, those utility poles, we got to ban them or get rid of them. And so I'm glad to hear that there are concrete movement in that direction. So awesome. Thank you for that. There's other concrete ideas that I think we can come up with, and so I'm starting to hear the ideas. But one of the concerns for me, water. So right now, I live in Kula. If I get caught water in my garden trying to feed myself, I get on $500 fine. I think that's the situation right now. My son was telling me, so I got to take his word. But that doesn't seem right, because part-time I live in Kihei, North Kihei. And every once in a while to escape, I got to go out Makena, La Perouse way. When I go that way, I see all these beautiful, lush, rich homes, condominiums, and buildings. Hey, I don't see no dry grass. So I wonder about the water situation. Is it fair? How can a few people gain from the water? Do we, that's the whole thing. So me as a private person, gonna water my garden. Yeah, so like I said, I think there's some beautiful parcels. I want to thank our people here. You guys are awesome. I know you guys got limited powers, but I know you guys are gonna do you guys' best, and I just want to participate in this situation. Thank you.
Aloha. My name is Brandon Keone Kaina Jr., born and raised here in Lahaina. Council members, thank you for taking the time to hearing the people of Lahaina. I hope you take all testimonies from today into consideration when making decisions for rebuilding our community. I ask that our leaders be as transparent as possible and provide us all the information that we need to give us comfort and peace of mind. I am hoping that we are able to have permits approved quickly to allow Lahaina families to rebuild their homes and local businesses. Replace those luxury homes, Airbnbs, with local businesses, especially the businesses that have been around for generations. If possible, please allow for free classes and trainings for the people to be qualified and licensed if they want to participate in clearing out the debris within properties. We don't want to see mainland companies coming in when we can employ our people and give them this work opportunity. Many of our family, friends, and neighbors are skilled craftsmen, engineers, and builders who are knowledgeable and experienced. So many people are hurting, and I think this will help some to heal their wounds by being able to physically be part of the rebuild of Lahaina. Families have worked so hard to build from the ground over the years, and I'm here today because I'm so worried for my kids' future. They won't be able to know the Lahaina I knew, but we can at least fight for them to have something similar. But if you don't involve us, the people of Lahaina, we won't have that. Involving the local residents in rebuilding of our town will ensure that the process is rooted in community values, needs, and hope. It will promote a stronger sense of belonging, economic growth, and in the long run, creating a more vibrant, resilient, and sustainable community. We hear rumors of plans, but we don't really know what's coming or what's factual. Please keep us informed. Continue to ask us for input. Don't ignore us or leave us in the dark. We are a town that has so much pride, and that will never change. We are Lahaina.
Aloha mai kako, council members. Mahalo nui for coming to Lahaina. My name is Tiare Lawrence. I come from 7+ generations of Lahaina, a graduate of Lahaina Luna High School. Several of my family members, including my 81-year-old Tutu, lost their home. And I now fortunately have the kuleana to house my family in Pukalani. The recovery and resilience of Lahaina must be centered around adopting traditional and cultural knowledge. With that being said, the restoration of Moku'ula and Kamalu'ulu'olele must be at the forefront. The green belt and food forest that once protected Lahaina must be restored, and the springs of Moku'ula set free, so the mana of Kihawahine can flourish and protect Lele once again. I testified in front of this council several times against unfettered, irresponsible development projects that include Makila Rural Town, Polanui Gardens, Makila Kai, Oluwalu Mauka, Oluwalu Makai, Oluwalu Town. My main argument then was the lack of water resources, building in an area that is historically known for massive fires, and that these lands should be utilized for agriculture over gentlemen estates and luxury swimming pools. Thank God the community fought against these PLL projects. Otherwise, you would have had not one, but 3 towns perish in the August 8 fire. As we move into uncharted waters, the council should implement the following. Build true workforce housing on public, not private land, with priority to multi-generational families. End short-term rentals in Lahaina, Pau, Lava. No more businesses, Makaya Front Street. Restore the beach on Front Street. Make pre-approved building plans to help streamline the permitting process. Add more staff positions at the planning department with specific focus to Lahaina. Implement community planning for coastal areas regarding sea level rise. Pass legislation that requires large landowners to do fire abatement. I would even go as far as creating a different tax rate for lands that are deserted, unproductive, to incentivize these landowners to do agriculture. Activities that shall include farming, rotational grazing, plant nursery, to bury the electrical in and around Lahaina town. No rezoning of land without community input. Build out a wastewater treatment facility in Lahaina that will allow the use of our own water to help restore local agriculture. Regenerative tourism. Work with the state DOE to relocate Kamehameha III School to a permanent location in Upper West Maui. Purchase the school campus for County Park. Request DLNR and DOBOR to have next week's October 3rd meeting in Lahaina and not on Zoom. I'm asking the council members to please send an email to Don Chang and Megan Statz and Ed Underwood. You know, this has been such an emotional time. And I know a lot of us, I keep thinking that I ran out of tears. It just keeps coming, but I'm asking the council to do whatever it takes to keep Lahaina in Lahaina. I know for myself, I live in Pukalani because I couldn't afford to live at home. And I would love so much to be able to move back home one day. And I know a lot of my family feel the same sentiment. So I'm asking you guys to stand behind the people, the multi-generational families, most importantly. In closing, I want to mahalo Tamara Pautin, our West Maui council member. She has worked tirelessly with such grace, empathy, compassion, love, and aloha for Lahaina. I humbly ask the council to support our council member because I truly believe she is the voice of the people. Lahaina is not for sale. Keep Lahaina lands in Lahaina hands. Aloha.
My name is Katie Austin. Thank you all for listening to the people. It is going to tie into what I'm saying. An uncle in this room installed in me forever the need to listen. If you're not from here, listen. If you don't know about the subject, listen. Keep listening to the Kapuna, the people of this land, listen. I'm speaking out now because I feel the government hasn't been listening for years. The struggle for so many things have been ongoing for generations for families in this room, and the people in power have not been following through with that basic teaching to listen. Tourism for so many years took precedent over listening to the people. My first thing is water rights. No private entity should own our water, point blank. I don't know why this is still a question. No privatization of water rights whatsoever. Give the water back. Streams should flow. Restoration of Malu Ulu Olele. Native plants like ulu should be at the forefront. Hold West Maui Land Company and Peter Martin accountable. Literally, like their negligent actions for years, and take a stand against it. It has gotten us to where we are now, and you all, especially everybody in this room, have the chance to make a change. We don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Prioritize the people over tourism. Hurry to rebuild should really be focusing on the homelands. Get our community back on their lands while the restructure of Front Street and businesses can happen later. We need regulations in place now that will deter offshore buyers. One way to do that is ban the transient vacation rentals now within homes in our community so that these vultures aren't circling. I also agree with the historic building guides, not to control how locals will rebuild their homes, but to make sure we don't have these monstrosities popping up and that Greg Browns can't pop up in the middle of Lahaina. Also, Lahaina Harbor needs to be rebuilt as the only source of commercial activity on the west side. Mala Wharf needs to be reopened how it was intended years ago as a community boat ramp. There will be no commercialization whatsoever out of Mala Wharf. I personally picture a town of abundance, not by wealth or tourism, but by the Aina and the Vai, which has been portrayed to me through years of stories of past generations. Not what we saw as our town just before the fire, dry, barren, crispy, and used by tourism. We can bring it back to how it should be, but everybody, the government needs to just listen. Thank you. Mahalo.
Thank you for letting me speak, but I resided in Lahaina for the past almost 80 years. I was born and raised in Lahaina and grew up and made a family, and I'm a sixth generation. Just by hearing the person before me, I think most of the people in this room have more than what, I can say, but I can share that during my time, I've seen the growth of the economic engine as agriculture to tourism. And we suffered through those days, but we survived. And the only thing that I can kind of come up and talk about is the multicultural that we have in Lahaina, that I've experienced through the years. The Filipino group, the Japanese group, the Chinese group, the Hawaiian group, and whatever we have. And we've shared this throughout the years that I grew up, and that was the most happiest time in my life. I also try to teach the children and share with my friends and family that, by sharing this kind of events in life, like gatherings, getting together, spending time, grumbling, being happy, hash out what you have to hash out, and at the end of the day, you can smile. So even if there was a very bad disaster in Lahaina, I still can smile, because of these kind of thoughts. And the only way that I know how to bring these things together is to have government be involved and get functions where we can have a Filipino day, a Japanese day, a Hawaiian day, all those kind of things. Gather these minds together and build one mind and one body, and Lahaina will be what it's supposed to be. I saw it. I shake. I love Lahaina. Lahaina is the only place for me. And Lahaina I live in the middle under the blue sky. I live Makai. Makai is the ocean, and Mauka is the mountain. And I don't think you can find any other place than that.
3 minutes.
Who makes it all is the people. So thank you again.
Aloha, everybody. I'm not used to doing this kind of thing, but like my dad said, I think what he's trying to emphasize is that the people need to come together as one, no matter what nationality we are or what culture we're from, because that is what made Lahaina what it has been and what it will be again. And I agree, Lahaina is not for sale. Unfortunately, the time that it's taking to get everything in order and the lack of transparency for the community and the people to know what direction we're headed in with the rebuilding of everything, our homes, our businesses, and where are we headed, really? What's the plan? That a lot of times they'll be frustrated and they'll give up and will eventually be forced to move away for one reason or another. So, that thought that Lahaina isn't for sale, it's in the heart of every person that lives in Lahaina and that has been affected and not been affected. Indirectly, I think everybody has been affected by what happened, and it should not have happened. It totally should not have happened. So we need to come together and rebuild it the way that it should be and the way that it was, so that we can continue with the uniqueness of the people who make Lahaina what it is. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot for giving me the chance to come share a few of my thoughts. My name is Daniel Scows, and I've lived in the Lahaina area since 2009. Previous to that, I was out in Hana. I was teaching out there for a number of years, well, for a handful of years. When I was a kid, I moved here to pick pineapple, and I worked and boarded. I saw this area when it was a lot different than it is now, and it was a lot greener, and there was a lot more vegetation around. So I've seen a little bit of change in my life, not near as much as most of you, but I still have seen a lot of change. And when I was, I have to think back when I was a kid, the world's population was like half of what it is now. And all of us know that change is inevitable. As there becomes more people, it becomes more demand on resources, it becomes more necessity to, create more housing, to create more jobs, more, opportunity. Where I spent part of my life in Utah, I saw the same things a lot of you are complaining about. I saw the the farms disappear. I saw the natural resources disappear. I saw everything getting paved over and developed. That was really hard for me, and that became a place I didn't want to really live. When I came to Hawaii when I was 15 in '93, and I saw that it was, that country feel what I wanted to be, where I wanted to be, that kind of opportunity. Being in a place that could be what I thought was self-sufficient, which we are not self-sufficient, right? Those, as we know during COVID, stuff falls off the shelf pretty quick when the boats stop coming in. I think that's what a lot of people want. They want to be self-sufficient. They want to be reliant on, on the outside, reliant on them like beggars, wanting to be on welfare. There's people that here, they want to work hard. They want the opportunity to create a self-sufficient society where they can provide for their families. And we need that agriculture back. We need bigger lots where people can have their own self-sufficient farms. We don't need to be jammed in these small little communities. All this land around us, and it's just sitting there vacant, not doing anything. It needs to be opened up where people, especially people that are deeply rooted here that want to work the land, can do it. They want to work. They want to grow things. They need to be able to do that. So it's not too late here. But we're at the valley where, if you ever go to Utah Valley, that whole thing's been just developed out. No more farming. The poor deer and elk come down. There's nowhere to go but in the road to get hit. So it's not too late here. There's still a lot of open land, a lot of opportunity to get agriculture back and to be self-sufficient. When I came, when I was staff reduced during the recession, 2009, we had the economy was hit hard, and Hana reduced their staff size. I was brought here to the Lahaina side, teach health and PE. It was really difficult for me going down Front Street. It was like offensive to me, having come from Hana, it was just so different, right? So after a year, I actually went back to Hana, and then I came back to this side, and I've been here since. But it's kind of grown on me. I mean, we do it as a teacher. I don't make that much money. I think I net $3,800 a month after 17 years of teaching. Like, I can't provide. So what do I do to provide for my family? I've got 5 kids, 4 small ones at home. As I clean toilets, I clean vacation rentals. That's become the way I provide for my family. I would like, that's what I've had to do. So about 40% of my necessary income comes from my job, and the rest comes from vacation rentals. I know a lot of people don't like them, but hey, do what you got to do to provide for your family and not be a beggar. I love everybody. I consider everyone my brothers and sisters, and I know that I may not look like some of you, and I may not be, it's deeply rooted, but I believe we're all brothers and sisters. And the prayer at the beginning of this meeting, I think, was beautiful, and it made me, I definitely felt touched by it. And I hope that we can all, in peace, find unity and rebuild in a quickly, timely way. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm not a speaker, but thank you for being here to hear all of us. I am born and raised in Lahaina on Mala Front Street. We've lived there all our lives. We've raised my 7 children in Lahaina. When we grew up, it was an old plantation camp. Fishing and plantation was our living. Our parents, my dad worked at the Pioneer Mill. He was a He lays the water lines in the fields. Coming home, he went fishing. Our whole family in Mala were fishermen, and they were great fishermen. And today, you know, when I look back, it's so sad because we have all these $1 million homes on a front street where we live, where we all grew up. And today, you know, they sell for like $8 to $5 million, which that was our home, our whole street. And our people in Lahaina, we grew up with them. We knew almost everybody in Lahaina, even the Filipinos that came in, Japanese. We all each had a camp. We were Mala camp. We had Kiavi camp. We had Japanese camp, you know, and a Filipino camp. They were all our people. And the ocean was always open to all of us. We would all walk from Mala, we'd walk to Kanapali, where we swam until late evenings. We went to the beaches, pick up our limo, fish, everything. And as the years went by, everything just boomed. It wasn't Lahaina anymore. We couldn't walk to Front Street because we didn't know a lot of the people. And if we passed by, we saw somebody, we toot the horn and wave at them because we knew them. And what has happened today, it's sad. We've lost everything. Even our friends who passed, we've lost every one of them. And I feel that the minutes that we get is too short. There's so much our people want to express, but we are timed, you know, and it's sad. You know, I look at all my cousins and my children, my great-grandchildren who lived with me. They lost everything in that fire. So who's responsible for that fire? Who's responsible? You know, this has been going on for many years.
3 minutes.
I mean, even the 2018, same thing. People lost homes, but this is worse. We lost the whole Lahaina, place we grew up, people we went to school with. You know, it's so hard to keep on expressing, but there has to be something done. Our water system, you know, there's nothing in the rivers. We used to swim in the rivers. There's nothing today. And, you know, there's no, what more, you know. And besides all this, there's things that have to be done for us. We all want to be in Lahaina. You know, there's too much tourism for all of us. You know, we have to think about
4
our
minutes.
people. Our people is most important. And I thank you. And I also want to thank you with all this devastation. My husband couldn't take it. He wanted to come to Lahaina and see when our house was gone. Everything he worked for is lost. And a week later, he passed away. You know, it's heartbreaking for him because he raised all of his children and we all raised there. He couldn't take it. He wanted to see Lahaina and we didn't want him to come to see how our place was because we live right alongside the highway. So he saw it. And now I have to prepare a funeral for him because he couldn't take it, what happened to our home, our
5
children,
minutes.
and our great-grandchildren. But we wish you would do a lot more than just listen, but talk for us. Back up our Lahaina people. Infrastructure, water, building. They should stop building because there's no more water for all of us. But that's all please listen to us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mai ka pina akala I kumukai e kona velo nei ka mole olu o le hua. Mai ka nuo mauna ka halavai no na ka malu malame ia nei ke ia halavai. Ai ka moana hohonu o kana loa hauna vela. Ano ai ke aloha nui a ka kua pauloa aloha. O Henrietta Moana, Secretary o Ku'umakuahine, o Richard Masahiko Grothman Ku'umakuakane, a o au o Keli Kawawa nui ka lau koa Masao Grothman. Wa malama nui I au I kohala I no nae he kamau na kamalala walu a he lala no Lahaina no ka ohana secretarial no ka ohana Kalaukoa. I am Kelly Grothman, a descendant of Abraham Kalaukoa, a Hawaiian legislator at the time of the rightful government, the Hawaiian Kingdom. whose granddaughter, my great-grandmother, Margaret Kalaukoa, is buried in Maria Lanakila with my auntie Joanna Pua Secretario. I'm a Hawaiian language hula and culture teacher in Japan. I see firsthand how our culture is prostituted by the tourism authorities who practically beg the Japanese to come and spend their dollars here. I have to kill two birds with one stone in Japan. I teach the Japanese about the true Hawaii in hopes that they know better about who we are, as well as being able to generate my own income so that I don't depend on the landowners in this neo-feudalistic system. We cannot afford the land, so now we are subjected to the whims of those that do. We need to put more focus on the native Hawaiian community and other local communities in general and ground it in Hawaiian values. I would like to, many people had many of the points I'm going to say. I would like to see more funding into our Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian language programs at the public school as well as our immersion school. Establish that pre-K to high school kula kayapuni. Create more spaces for our ohana to gather, as it was hapai earlier, so we can picnic, transmit our knowledge within central Lahaina, rebuild moku'ula, mokuhini, and return the waters. We've been asking for that for generations now. Allow us access to beaches without having to pay for parking, because the free parking beach spaces is nele. It's not enough. Look down the road, 30 spaces, but we got to pay for parking. Make affordable housing so that our families, even me, have a chance to return to Lahaina or have a home without needing to work 2 jobs or sell our souls to the modern plantations, aka the hotel industry. The American way is to solve problems now so that we can live in comfort. But the Hawaiian way is to solve problems now so that all our descendants can live comfortably. Because ultimately, our decisions will affect our descendants. And I always say, be a good kupuna. The fire was a freak event, but the wind was not. That was the Kauaula wind that comes once every generation. My grandmother told me about that wind and how it burned. It came through
3
when
minutes.
Keopuolani came, and devastation is always left in its wake. The difference is there was water then, but not now. It's great to hear about the lions being buried, but we have to ensure that when the wind comes the next few generations, there is water ready, because Lahaina will never fade. Pio ole kamakani kauaula. No laila e nā luna ho'olohe mai, e ho'olopona I nā olelo a mako e haiakune ia o kou. No ka mea, o mako a pauloa ko Lahaina. A no mako wale no ka pono o ke kohana I ke ala e ola e kātou. We are Lahaina, and it should be only our right to choose what Lahaina should be. Ua pau, mahalo. Ua pau o Lahaina I ke ahi, aiolo mau no kona mau pua. Lahaina was destroyed by the fire, but its descendants shall live on forever. Aloha no.
Yeah, I have a lot to say, and 3 minutes ain't gonna cover it. But I hope Auntie's testimony and hit you guys. So I'm gonna point out some bad things first. As we started off, there was a comment made by Chair Alice Lee that why does Hawaiians not value education? I don't care what you say about not being inflammatory. The fact that you think that way and you ask that question is inflammatory to everybody, not just Hawaiians. Okay? So I pointed that out. I call it out 1, 2, 3. You 3 guys, historically, you guys have voted for pro-development in West Maui. You guys have always voted that way, right? Look at what happened. I gotta live in one house. I gotta keep rent down so locals can afford for my rental unit. I can charge all the money I like, but I like keep locals in Lahaina. So I gotta do that. The next 2 council members, Nohe and who's that, Cook, we're watching you guys. We're gonna watch how you vote. Your dad, Bruce, the union leader. We kind of see how we're voting. I hope you're going to vote the right way. I hope you keep all these ohanas and give them availability. I'm kind of angry, gang, so I'm sorry.
That's okay.
First thing.
But if you could just keep it on subject, that'd be great.
For the future, we're moving forward. Eliminate all short-term rentals. Eliminate all of them. I don't care where, yeah? You guys like short-term rentals. Put them in your neighborhoods. Put them in your district you guys represent. Put them all next door to you. Because I got to come home to tourists yelling, woohoo, spring break, right next door to my house. When you guys approve this legislation in Maui County, I hope you guys take the responsibility for the hostility that these tourists going to come into. I hope you accept that responsibility, right? Because if I got to assault one tourist because they running around pissing in my yard because they too drunk to go back to their rental, I'm going to knock them out. So I hope you guys take that responsibility when you guys pass this type of legislation, allowing these short-term rentals, allowing tourists to be in our neighborhoods. I hope you guys take that responsibility. Before we start rebuilding, how about you guys meet benchmarks? The county, the state. Animal housing. Every day I wonder if the Red Cross can kick me out. I did everything. I followed FEMA, I followed Red Cross. I still have no housing. I don't know where I'm going. There is no rentals that I can afford. I gotta pay my mortgage. I gotta pay on rental that's doubled in the last 3 weeks. Now, for your guys' information, my second mortgage, the bank just called my loan. So I gotta come up with that money in addition to, how am I gonna pay that off? So we're talking about land grab, gang. The banks is forcing this
3
land
minutes.
grab. Everybody's worried about their kids going back to schools in West Maui, where the state cannot even clear the fire hazards that's existing right now. By the way, so you guys know, been an educator, I'm still an educator at Lahaina High School for 22 years. There is no evacuation plan for the schools. Zero. Rushing to put kids back into school where they belong, where they need. But you guys cannot even plan fire mitigation on state land. DOE and state own that. And so we're putting our kids right back into this hazard without a fire exit. Put inspectors back in, right? Why right now it's complaint-based for neighborhoods. I beg you guys, please drive up to Upper Lahaina Luna. My truck cannot fit in these neighborhoods. How you gonna get a fire truck in there? How you gonna get an ambulance in there? Why are they allowed to build with so much families inside?
4 minutes.
Because there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. You guys heard Auntie get their grandkids living with them. Because there's nowhere to go. You guys passed developments for the rich, for these tourists that came in day 2 after the fire. These tourists told me at Kanapali Royal, the owners, you don't belong here. You're not welcome here. I don't care your house ain't burned down. These are the owners of Kanapali Royal telling me this. Yeah. So if you guys like go talk story with them, talk story with them. That's the owners. Yeah. There's many stories that way.
I'm gonna ask you to wrap it up some, okay? And if you want to, you
How
can
about we
always
have
email
water
us
for
the
the community?
testimony.
We need water. The water for the community comes first. Like you guys know that Grand Wailea, 700 million gallons for their pool comes from the West Maui aquifer. All the developments in South Maui comes from West Maui. But we no can water our yard. We cannot wash our car because we on restriction. Yet Honolulu Ridge, Kanapali Hillside, Kahana Ridge, Laniopoko, Oluwalu, all get nice pools and water, green yards. Why is that? Tie that system back in. Tax the out-of-state residents. Tax the homeowners. Give exemptions to multi-generational families, but tax the crap out of them. Make them pay. The Westin Hotels, Starwood Hotels, make it a mandate that 50% of their profits stays on Maui, not goes to corporations.
Chair,
All lines.
I have a
know the
question.
All lines going to be dug and buried, but there was a community member, a government official that said, and I quote, "A cost for that is astronomical." You guys lose one life, that's astronomical.
Sir.
When I saw the lives that I saw, you guys lost over 300 lives.
Okay, wait.
What is the price at that point?
Sir, we have a question for you.
Can I have a question?
Can you
Yo,
wait for a second? And then we're gonna have to move on after her question, okay? But
I get one
I'm
more
happy.
thing for state.
Michael,
All
okay.
meetings should be held in West Maui, no matter what. You guys should be here. Oh, at least once a month. Yeah. Hey, Pasha, Dave, I'd like you guys have your guys' district meetings in your area.
Okay.
Give all the people. Look how much people here. I love you guys. Be here.
Okay.
Your question, go ahead.
No. Oh, wait, and then Member Paulton has a question for you, and then we're gonna call the next
Roger
testifier.
that.
Okay, go.
Mahalo, Chair. To abide by sunshine law, I was just going to ask you what the remainder of your testimony was going to be, because, we're held by laws and rules.
I'm always all up here.
It's okay. You finished before I could ask my question to complete your manao with us. But I do have a question, 2 questions. One, you mentioned burying the lions. And I think that I was wondering if you think that that is too little that you're asking for, that perhaps the community should own the energy here and have a co-op and control its own microgrids.
So the microgrid.
And then
Oh, sorry,
the
go
second
ahead.
question is I've heard people say multiple times now that there's not enough water, but I understand that there's an abundance of water. And rather than there's not enough water, is it perhaps your understanding that it's about how the water is currently distributed? That is. Mahalo.
So first question, Paul, yes. Every home, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, County Council, but every home, like let's take Waikuli, for example. Every home gets a battery, solar panels on their roof. They become their own independent battery, right? Which can power them. I think if Waikuli neighborhood alone could power ourselves for like 9 months without any kind of infrastructure from Miko or Hiko. As far as the water question, there is an abundance of water. There's also wasting water. So since West Maui Land Company built Laniopoko, the increase of water banks or reservoirs throughout West Maui has increased, I think, 400% because they're wasting water. And I don't know if you guys remember, Laniopoko, above Laniopoko Beach Park, had a huge water cannon just so that they could show use. That's all it was for. So is there enough water? That's a dangerous question because we already hit salinity levels that's not appropriate. So meaning we have already exceeding our holding capacity for West Maui. So there should be no developments except for housing for all of us. There should be no luxury developments anymore, gentlemen in the States.
Mahalo for
Thank
answering my
you.
question. So it's not about the amount of water, it's how water is used, and it's not about the amount of housing, it's how housing units have been used.
Yes.
Mahalo.
I have to think about that. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Delos Reyes, for your testimony. My clarifying question was when you mentioned about the no evacuation route for our schools up Lahaina Luna Road, like if there were a fire to start at Kuialua or Kuialua and Lahaina Luna Road, the entrance to the Princess Nahiana subdivision, were you planning on testifying at the House meeting in Kapalua tomorrow at 1000 Kapalua Drive off Office Road, Harvest Chapel, Umulan? Because I'm concerned about sending my kids to those schools with no evacuation route. If a fire should start near Nahiana and a subdivision, how all of our public school children would be allowed to evacuate with no buses. Harvest Chapel, Kumulani, 9 o'clock.
You can answer that.
I wasn't aware of that meeting, as everybody knows that the communication in West Maui is sporadic at best. So I wasn't told about that meeting. I don't have the luxury and the time. I'm not saying anybody else. I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus. But me personally, I don't have the luxury and time to be on internet or social media all day long. As you know, tomorrow, Councilmember Paulton, that a lot of us is just we trying to help out our community. So I will be there if I can, unless I gotta go work. But on almost 6 days, if I commend you guys for being here and I thank you guys for being here. If you guys can be here more often, as you can tell, we're gonna be here because this is our home. Yeah, Lahaina Luna is Lahaina, and as I said this before, Lahaina is Lahaina Luna. I love you guys. Mahalo.
Hello, council members, and aloha Lahaina. Before I start stating my opinions on the rebuilding process, I just want to say that we are not ready for the tourists to come back right now. Josh Green, that's a bad call. He's a medical doctor, actually. He is not a psychologist. And that's what we're doing right now, the trauma. There's stages in trauma. The keiki are still going to the first stage. I'm still going to the first stage. The kupuna, they might not even recover from the trauma because we don't have more time. We get choke time for certain things and little time for like the really important things. And trauma is huge. Mental health, that's important. I learned that being an adult, you gotta take care of your mind. You have to. And you're gonna spit the tourists in front of us before the keiki go back to the school is really, really demoralizing. That's why we're angry. A lot of guys said a lot of important things that I wanted to mention today, like the restoration of Moku'ula, the resurrection of Mokuhinia. And I say resurrection because when you add the water into the land, the life comes back. Why? Imagine one day the keiki don't have to fish out of this moldy fountain water. They can go fish out of Mokuhinia. Imagine that. Just for thought. And absolutely, all the Makai businesses around Front Street, you know, some of us feel connected to it. A lot of us don't really know. The feeling's kind of mush, you know, but should not allow that to be back. We should have bike lanes. I'm tired of almost trying to kill somebody by accident, but just by driving down Front Street. That's safety. This is the number one topic is safety because we were not safe during this and we did not feel like anybody had our backs. You know, we did the hubs up at Princess Nahiana in the parking lot as long as we could. Then the DOE said 1 week after, you guys gotta go. And we're like, well, what about the people that live up there still? Who's taking care of them? And then weeks later, mayor comes in. Too late. We did it already. But you see that we feel abandoned. We don't feel safe. and I'll get the voting table out there for register to vote. I don't know if I want to vote for anybody, but I just want to say there's a big diverse community in Lahaina. We all know that. The culture needs to be the center, and then everyone else can just be with us together. Because people are talking about the pico, they're talking about the circle of life and the connection from the mountain to the sea.
3 minutes.
Anyways, we're in this together, and individuals like myself, all we have is time. So we're going to make sure that this is done right, because we can't be stewards of this land if there's no water. Aloha, mahalo.
Good morning, neighbors. My name's Amber Diamond, a business owner, and I lived on Front Street. I employed just under 20 employees here. We all evacuated safely, including my neighbor and his little brother
Can you
that
please
swam.
face the mic, because then we can't hear you, and it's also being recorded, so then everybody else can't hear you too. Thank you.
Just under 20 of us evacuated from my property, including the neighbor and his brother who swam to safety. We're really passionate about everything that's going on, and I'm a little nervous and I'm a little frustrated. So I'm going to get through this, but it's not in any specific order. It's been very hard for us to chase around Red Cross, SRT, SBA, and our resources because it continuously changes. We need some sort of system where everybody is talking to each other so that everybody can get the resources that they need in one area and not have to chase everything around. We need accountability for the land negligence, for people who were not taking care of their land, that are landowners here, whether it's public or private. And that includes, not limited to, the previous cleanups that we've needed to have over in Kaho'olawe after World War II. That is still not cleaned up, but somehow paid for. We need to move the elementary down from Front Street. The parents don't need to battle for a parking spot to pick up their keiki. Speaking more about the evacuation, it's not just where we were shuffled into a death trap behind the Civic Center with only one way in and one way out towards the fire. There was no second entrance there. There's no second entrance at the new high school in Kihei. There's no second entrance at the sports complex on the Y side. These are death traps. And having our keiki go back to these death traps is gross negligence on all of our behalf, parents and neighbors alike. I need a daily state address from our mayor. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but this all happened on 8/08. To me, this was a terrorist attack, and the president shows up to every world disaster within days. But why did it take Biden 2 weeks to show up over here? Why was Starbucks pulled out 2 days before? Why is there not a difference in all of our electricity bills on the south side if those windmills were going Mach 100 that day? I drove by the substations and they did not pop. Where's all the power going for those windmills?
3
when
minutes.
half of the island wasn't using power that day. I'm going to close in this. Y'all are moving at the speed of the internet, and we are moving at the speed of life. We have multicultural families on the island, and when we rebuild the Lahaina, I need the signs to begin in Olelo. English can be second. The signs need to be in Hawaiian. We need unemployment to kick in. Whether you lost your job from the fire, whether you lost your job after the fire, or whether you are on a furlough. Unemployment, everybody who was employed on Maui, that needs to kick in. Now, I would like to restore Lele. I would like Alanui Moi to become the new Front Street. Thank you.
My name is Michelle Lincoln, and I appreciate all the testimony here, and I wish I could stay all day, but have responsibilities elsewhere. I just want to appreciate what Uncle said earlier. When people ask me why I insist on living in Lahaina, I said because it's a snapshot of what heaven's going to look like with all the different cultures and people together and how we live together in harmony. That's a beautiful thing, and that doesn't happen in a lot of places. So I'd like to stay if possible. I'm speaking for myself as someone who lost my home, my neighborhood of 40 years, and 2 long-term rental dwellings that were a major source of income for our family. We want to rebuild as owner builders, and we have a crew and tools to start right now. What's stopping us is the roadblock and government bureaucracy. If people want assistance, they can wait for reentry, but as long as the neighborhood has been inspected by the EPA, then access could be immediate to enter at our own risk. You can still give us passes and protective clothing. You can still have guards and police stations strategically throughout the community. But at the rate we're going, 2 years to start rebuilding doesn't pencil out. At the informational meeting on Friday night, the Red Cross Housing Assistance said they can last up to 18 months. Insured housing allowances are 24 months, but for most policy amounts, that's not a last long enough to last the 2-year allowance. Insured rental properties cover 12 months of lost revenue. That means in 10 months before we go to the stipends run out for that. This means we need to start building now, which translates the United States Army Corps of Engineers cleanup of debris and final EPA clearance needs to be complete by February 8, 2024. Not longer than 6 months from the start to the finish, we get federal funding. So it needs to be done within a timely manner. Hire local, inter-island, and continental U.S. debris removal crews and equipment to accomplish that goal. And while the cleanup takes place, assist the build back of Lahaina so each zone can begin construction as it's cleared of debris and deemed free of toxin. This enables the building process to start sooner than 4 months from now. Continue using conveniently located venues like this or at the Civic Center and locations in Kahului, whatever it takes, that these locations make available draftsmen with county code knowledge at fair market fees to draw up plans. Make available engineers and architects to stamp and submit those draft plans for immediate permit approval at fair market fees. Insurance covers costs or FEMA for the uninsured. Hire retired or off-island draftsmen, architects, engineers to expedite this part of the process. Provide housing for them like you did for FEMA and National Guard personnel. The same goes for inspectors. Hire qualified individuals for a temporary assignment to rebuild Lahaina quickly and safely. Have inspectors for each zone assigned to a certain number of dwellings and businesses. This may need to be 40 to 50 inspectors, which would include electrical and plumbing inspectors as well. Builders could submit requests for inspections 24 hours in advance, and it gets done within 48 hours. Houses and businesses in the SMA
3 minutes.
would still have the scrutiny required by law, but expedite plans and approvals of other agencies. Follow the community plan. A single-story, 1,200 square foot home would take approximately 3 months to build, but that crew, once they get it framed, can start going on to the next home, creating a snowball effect. The Maui Planning Department would take care of business as usual for the rest of the island, but a special team would take charge of the rebuilding of Lahaina, solicit more federal funds for the uninsured and underinsured, and provide qualified draftsmen, architects, inspectors at a reasonable rate to get the job done quickly and safely. Thank you.
1 second. Thank you. Can you please email that to us? And then Shirley has a question for you.
When I get access to a computer, I will definitely do that, hopefully
Thank
by
you.
the weekend.
Or you can always leave it with the staff too if you feel comfortable sharing that. But Shirley has a question for you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lincoln. You mentioned that at the rate things are going, it doesn't pencil out. So, and you mentioned examples of expediting the permitting process and so forth. But another challenge that we have is a lot of the transmission lines have been broken. So that part of the infrastructure needs to be redone in sewer and water. But
So can I answer?
Sure.
How, from our perspective. So in the time that it would take you to be working on the infrastructure, we could be building houses. We plan on, I lived in a 1932 cane house that was from lumber from the Olawalu sugar mill, repurposed from that. And we plan on building post and pier with tin roofs. I mean, we like the old cane house. We're going to do that again. So if we can do that we would have our primary residence. They changed the law in 2019, which allows our size lots in Lahaina to have 2 smaller accessory dwellings. We have the rental property across the street that would have a single family dwelling plus 2 accessory dwellings. So we could have 6 rentals in, by the time you guys get, our houses get done, you'll have the infrastructure done. We don't have to wait for the infrastructure. When you have the inspectors come, and that's why you have them on hand, when you're laying out the strings for where your property is, if they go, hey, you're a foot too close to the property line, they can move it over. That's why you have inspectors as part of the process. We're skipping the cumbersome thing, but we can be getting our whole house built, and then you can hook up the utilities as it comes ready.
Thank you.
And just looking at the big, I don't know what order you're going in, but we're in section 9D. And so, for example, you went through section whatever the other day and let people in. But we know people on that street. So if they're done and they sign off and they can have the debris removal, we could be building their houses even before our house gets built. But we need to do it as time goes. You can't wait until everything's cleaned up to get it done. We can start right now and then hook up to the utility.
If you don't have access to a computer, if you don't, okay.
I will get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ahmed Morsi. All my friends call me Adam. My Hawaiian name is Ke'ola Mauloa. One of the themes that I think keep arising today without being mentioned is we're all tired of living as second-class citizens. All of us, we're all done and tired of being second-class citizens. We're all fed up and tired of the planning and zoning department's blatant discrimination against second-class citizens. Me personally and a friend of mine purchased a 2.5 acre of ag land in the Pu'unoa district off of Hokiokio. I own a 1/4 acre of that land. It's agricultural land. And because of the zoning and the ridiculousness of what's going on, I was forced to put a tiny home on a trailer so I can live there with my family because that's all I can afford. I'm being reasonable and I'm being realistic with my financial situation. Because of the hocus pocus that goes around, people in that neighborhood have these McMansions, as my brother was mentioning, on agricultural land, and they have 1 or 2 plumeria trees, and they get away with doing whatever they want to do. On 2.5 acres of land, agricultural land, we can put multiple units to house multiple families and be able to farm to have people eat off of that land. This isn't some kind of rocket science or math, really. I don't understand how these people can live in these McMansions and get away with all of the stuff that they're getting away with. Meanwhile, if we wanted to just put a little small thing, we're getting pushback, I'm getting sued, I'm being served by the community, your neighbors up in Pu'unoa. We're trying to create housing for everyone, but your neighbors up in Hokiokio and Pu'unoa don't want that. They don't want to see you down there because it gets in the way of their view. Today, they have no coffee shops to go to Lahaina. Today, they're perched on top of a disaster zone. We are living in a disaster zone. We have an immediate solution. We have space. We want to help. We want you to assist us with legitimate, legal, comprehensive, logical zoning and planning because we have space. The next time I hear somebody say, we don't have space to build on Maui, I'm going to poke my fingers in their eyeballs.
3 minutes.
There's more than enough land. There's more than enough resources. Please help us manage it. We can take care of ourselves. We just need help to manage it because we're being pushed back by the first-class citizens, our neighbors up on the hill who don't want to see us around. Thank you for your time.
Wow. Wow. This is going to go down in history, this meeting. 20 years from now, they'll be talking about this meeting. I moved here in 1989 from North Shore, Oahu, landed at Kapalua Airport with $400 and a surfboard under my arm. I showed the porter guy the address I needed to go to, kind of looked at me like another frickin', but anyway, so he said it was in Napili, and I was like, which way is Napili? So anyway, I went up there to Napili, and long story short, I ended up renting a room in Lahaina, $450 a month. I said, wow, that's a lot, and that's how much things have changed since then. All I wanted to say was everyone in this room can be a part of the legacy of the rebuilding of Lahaina. Whatever we do, we can all be a part of it. In 20 years, like I say, they'll be talking about us. I probably won't be here. They'll say, I remember that guy. He did this. He helped do this. Whatever it was. Not complaining about anything. Just do it. Right now, I'm volunteering at the Hanakawai Hub, and I'm doing it because I don't have a job. And I'm not worried about that right now. What I'm worried about is that I want to be known as a part of the rebuilding of Lahaina in whatever shape, form it is. We just got to do the work. Thank you.
Aloha, guys. I am not from Maui. I moved here at the age of 14. I have worked hard to get a piece of land here. I got a business 4 or 5 months ago. Everything went to the fire. When we get a letter on the mail from the county because we got too much garbage outside our house. But all these landowners, it's grassy area, and they don't clean it. They don't do anything to it. And the fire couldn't be prevented if they do secure burnouts. Maui has enough money to do all that. They burn sugarcane through years. I got here when they were doing it still. And as soon as something happens in your neighborhood and somebody's not happy with it, they send a letter to the county and they tell you that you gotta clean your land. What happened to all those lands? What happened to all these people that have these lands, masses of land, and they don't do anything with it? There's a lot of people here that need housing too. People, they need to be placed to live, and the only developers are the big guys with money. When everybody else trying to build a little hana, and all they do is, oh, we cannot pass your permit. You don't have enough land to do that. That's not fair. And another thing, a lot of people are going to lose their houses. And the reason why is because the banks are calling right now because they want their payment. A lot of people use the forbearance through COVID. And these companies are not allowing to do it again. And that needs to be addressed to the government because they cannot lose the land because they cannot pay. That was part of the deal. You cannot pay, you lose your land. That's everything I have to say. Thank you, guys.
Aloha kako. O Jamie Lee, Inoa. I'm from the Moku of Wailuku. My son and his family lived here. As a matter of fact, my mo'opuna was planning on going to kindergarten. Papa Mala'o. He's not there. He is with his mother and his father because of the trauma. They're, quote unquote, two of the missing children because they did not want to bring their children to school. They're still working through their trauma. So I told my son, you better call them, let them know that the kid is okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna try not to repeat what has been said because there's been a lot of things said. And I appreciate each one of you that are here. It is your job to be here. I know that. And you never call in sick. But your hands are tied to a lot of the decision making at this time because there's been a proclamation. And we know that the proclamation, we cannot make these decisions. It is in the hands of the governor. It is in the hands of the mayor that made these proclamations. We the people have to stand with that. All of us are here to make a difference. How little it may be or how great it may be. Our keiki has come out and do the olis. I'm very, very grateful. I'm from the island of Oahu. I came here as a teen, went to Lahaina Luna School, lived in Olowalu at Teen Challenge. I have 4 children who are teaching Hawaiian Olelo, who are speaking it, who are kiki oka'aina in their hands are in the ground. And I teach them to respect and to love the land that they're living. My daughter is a college professor. She cannot even afford a house. We had to buy some property in Hana for our ancestral family, our lands for them, so they can have when we are gone, okay? This is what I want to say, and then I will close with this. I don't have a whole lot because there's been so much good mana here, and I really appreciate it. Everyone who does community, in my belief, who does community service, who is part of the council, who is senator, who is governor, it is our kuleana to put forward the Hawaiian kingdom. It is the Hawaiian kingdom that we are supposed to be speaking for. With that said, we are supposed to be trying to make these changes for your people. Whatever nationality you are, doesn't matter. We are multi-generational, multi-nationalities, but we are here in the occupied kingdom of Hawaii. And if we are supporting that kingdom, then we need to continue to do this with our votes here. Our senators, they're supposed to be in Washington
3 minutes.
begging that. 3 minutes? But that's all I have to say. That's what we are here to do. So if you're going to be involved in the community, that's what we are promoting our Hawaiian kingdom. And everybody has already said everything, and that's the mana that I've received. Mahalo nui, aloha.
I just want to start by saying aloha, and I'm so sorry to everyone who has lost anything in this fire. I moved to Maui in 2019 from the Columbia River Gorge National Scenic Area in Washington State, just 2 years after the Eagle Creek fire that nearly devastated the place that me, my parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents all grew up. The Oregon Eagle Creek fire burned so large and such high winds that it was jumping across the Columbia River, which, to those of you that don't know, the Columbia River is about a mile wide in some places. And the Columbia River Gorge is known to get hurricane force winds up to 70 miles per hour. So these winds were starting spot fires in Washington State from Oregon. due to blowing hot embers across the river. A couple of years ago, I stood in the parking lot of Safeway as traffic was jammed, watching burning embers falling all around me. Meanwhile, next to no evacuation notices were given to Lahaina, outside of maybe Laniopoko, I believe. This is the fire that got very close to Lahaina Luna High School, which apparently doesn't have an evacuation route planned for its students. I went home to Napili immediately as soon as I could get through traffic, and I packed a go bag, because I had seen the Eagle Creek fire and I know what fires can do. I've also worked for the U.S. Forest Service for a couple of years, and that involves forest fire training. And so I was very scared of this fire. That was the day that my trust was broken within the local government here on Maui as regards to them being able to keep us safe from fire. According to DLNR's website for Hawaii, the percentage of land burned per year in Hawaii exceeds the national average and some years surpasses the western states. So why doesn't Maui County have more resources to fight fires? Why was the county not more prepared? Especially when there have been so many fires in Lahaina in the recent years. There were warnings to this. Going forward, Lahaina needs proper emergency evacuation routes and plans, especially for the schools. I would also like to say that I can't help but think this entire time, isn't it ironic that we sit here surrounded by acres of lush green golf courses full of ponds with large fountains of water continuously streaming out for a meeting about the fire that destroyed Lahaina as firefighters fought with dry hydrants just 3 miles south? Kaanapali is a city built for tourists. Right now we are surrounded by multiple high-rises that all towered above what Lahaina was even before being reduced to ashes. It's clear who water belongs to. It's clear who West Maui's water belongs to right now, and it's not the people of Lahaina, it's tourism. Anyone with eyes can see this. The future of Lahaina is dependent on the return of water rights back to the people of Lahaina to grow the ulu and taro. Again, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm Lono Pele, Cathcart, Cabanilla. I'd like to say first and foremost, condolences to everybody, family and friends that devastated from this and who we lost. And now I just going to talk about what we all stay dealing with right now with the temporary housing, we're staying in hotels, and all this unclear information that keep coming to us every day. For example, we're being told, oh, we're going to be good in the hotels or whatever till February 10th. But you talk to the people that's on site and you get a different answer. For example, my cousin got told her due date, October 31st, comes up, you're on your own. How is that true? This is adding stress onto what we already been dealt with. This is crazy. So if you guys can help, I know you guys get limited power or things you can do, like you said, but I think you guys can do a lot. So going off of that, I mean, the most important thing, priority-wise, is getting us all back into our town for build our homes. Talked about all these timelines, 2 years for get back in there and build. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. And I'm telling you it's ridiculous because you get more resources, more than enough resources for get everything cleaned up. You guys see how fast it moved when you allow other people for help. So allow that to happen so it can be able for us to build faster. You know, I don't know if everybody understand how the permitting process works with all you guys out of county. Like, really, I scared for all my family, everybody in here, because nobody really understand. Personally, I was trying for a build on home through all of this. It's been 1.5 years over. I never received my permit. And nobody really understand that this is how long it takes. This is ridiculous. You guys talking about creating another permit committee for fast track the permits or expedite. I cannot trust you. I cannot trust that. I cannot even believe that. Because you get a permitting process that the thing take almost 2 years for getting a regular permit. I mean, I'm not trying for put anybody down or anything, but I'm just saying, to me, that's ridiculous. That's just I don't know if I can say that, but so shut up answer. And everybody for just kind of be quiet and be okay with it. That's not okay. You gotta use what you get, the department you get. You guys get the information for everybody who live in Lahaina, all their home plans, everything should be fast. Not gonna take that long for put up the buildings, or not even the buildings, the houses. Because the buildings, like I said, that's last. The businesses, that's last. Priority is the homes for the families for go back. Let us get in there and build and do what we need to do. Set everything up the right way, not how it was, because obviously the thing never worked. Look at what had happened. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I get plenty more to say, but I don't like get too off track. So priority first, let us in there, let us build. No more of this too long of a timeline for build. That's ridiculous. Thank you.
Wait, sir. Can you please come back? Member Paulton has a question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lona. I just wanted to clarify the part about the timelines for the hotel and how they're asking you to, when you have to leave and things like that. Is that for people that did already register with the FEMA?
Yes, we all actually been registered Red Cross and FEMA, and that's what was told. So I don't know, we're getting these instructions, we're following them, but we're getting different answers from what was told on Friday from the people that's actually there that we gotta go see. So that's what I meant on that, yes.
And then, did you, with the different answers that you got, did you take that to the Disaster Recovery Center and tell them that you're getting different answers about what was told on Friday, and that now people are saying like after October 31st, you're on your own?
No, we never take that, but since you told us that that's what we should do, then yeah, I guess we will. I mean, like I said, there's no clear information on what to do. We lost here. So yeah, thank you for that, and we will do that if that's what needs to be done in order for us to stay longer.
That was told to me, make sure everybody register for FEMA before September 29, and if you encounter different answers, go to the Disaster Recovery Center and have them walk you through, because supposed to get guaranteed 6 months, but they're going to try and move people into rentals with rental assistance before that, so it's not 6 months. Everybody got to go look for a rental.
Okay, yeah, we'll go through Red Cross and also FEMA, so that's what's being told.
And just contact my office if that doesn't work out.
Okay, sounds good. But again, priority, let us build, let's go.
Aloha Maui. My name is Heidi and I'm 14 years old. I was a Lahaina Luda student. I'm from Maui, even though I don't really look like it. I want to ask you for Together. We are all Hawaiians. Together wins. I have friends all over the world, literally. The world is watching us. Hawaii is the heart of the earth. What a beautiful time to be alive. Speaking for the children, we demand good education. Safe education, education in person, and not online. We ask for a safe school. Health is number 1. Thank you for listening.
Oh, I just wanted to clarify, are you also going to tell this to the State House Representatives tomorrow at 9 a.m., yeah. 1000 Kapalua Road, just off Office Road, 9 a.m.
Aloha.
They have decision making.
Thank you.
Aloha, I'm Snake Ahia. Born and raised in Lahaina, 1946, at Prison Street by Tutu House here, the Mailoa. Now there's so much changes when I grew up in Lahaina, going camp to school with no shoe, no slippers on. We were pretty much hard life, but in a way we kind of enjoy what we had. So much things happening in Lahaina that I wish that we can get it back how it was in the coming years or coming. When we had to move from Hawaiian homes because of the fire. So I stayed in Kahului that night. When I came back from go to Lahaina, when we came by the bypass, when I seen the devastation of Lahaina, I was crying. We pretty much, when you're born and raised in Lahaina, you're part of Lahaina already, It's so hard for us to try and get everything back together. It's not easy. Even I used to live in Lanipopo too, but Tutu forced to live in Lanipopo. That was our home too, yeah. So there's a lot of things I can go back really a long time ago that I grew up, in Lahaina. But I just wish we could get Lahaina back the same way how it was. It's not only for me, it's for all my grandkids too, yeah. I got 15 grandkids, but I wish they can have the things I had when I grew up, yeah. Thank you.
The next testifier is Myrna Ahi, to be followed by Madison Gardner and Ho'olai Kapanila.
Hi, aloha. Thank you for having us, and I love it. Lahaina is here. My name is Myrna Ahi. I've been in Lahaina my entire life for 60-something years. I old anyway, so. But, I love Lahaina the way it was. It's hard. I know, gotta do stuff, gotta make safety, a walkway down Front Street. What the hey? Driving and parking there was so dangerous, but yet we do need parking structures, I guess, to keep everybody, able to come and enjoy Lahaina like the way it was. And also, a lot of our newer subdivision were by developers. You had Fong Construction, you had Hawaiian Dredging, you had Arizumi Brothers, Hicks Homes, and I see that, I don't know how fast, but we're going to need help like that to help expedite everybody getting back on their Aina. I am so fortunate, but we did lose a family home down at Kauaula subdivision. And I did watch the fire as I went to town and having my son call me to tell me to turn around when I was by Bubba Gump's. And just watching, I have pictures of black smoke. It's like, I don't even know how I made it, but my son told me, turn around, go south. Went down to the harbor, just watched Lahaina burn. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I just wanted to get home to my family. And then the phone went out. It's like, how the heck does that happen? So infrastructure-wise, I mean, how does it happen? I know we didn't have electric from 5 in the morning, but I was lucky my husband made me coffee at 4. So by the time I got up, I had a cup of coffee and, just, okay, I'm happy. But, I did record myself outside in my yard listening to that wind. I got it recorded. It was spooky. It was standing there and there's nothing. And then all of a sudden there's woo, 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 woo. And it's wind coming. It's like, anyway. So I did follow my way out of Lahaina, and I went to the police when I was at Lani Poco. Can I go back? He's like, Auntie, no, so anyway, I stayed and I waited till the morning. I know my husband was going crazy because I couldn't call. So little things like that we take for granted. Internet, cell phone service, water, power, got to figure that out. But anyway, I do want to see Lahaina kind of the way it was, but yet improvements with as far as, evacuation. Oh my gosh. Just all the infrastructure that we need to be safe. Thank you.
The next testifier is Madison Gardner, to be followed by Ho'olai Kabanela and Jake Kane.
Thank you. Aloha. My name is Madison Gardner, and I moved here about 10 months ago now. And before I did that, I thought it was so cool seeing the word aloha and how it meant hello, goodbye, and love. And that was something I wanted to be surrounded by. And that is something that is just spoken so true to me throughout all of this, is the community is really backed the spirit of aloha, and they have acted behind it. The day the fires started, I lived off of Lahaina Luna, and I had a friend come to my house to make sure I had somewhere to go. And I ended up staying with somebody that night, and I didn't know these people until that night, but they were willing to house me. And so much of the community has really acted behind the spirit of aloha and really used their actions to back their words in this spirit. And actions really do speak louder than words. And the community has done a lot to really show that and back it. And that being said, I don't feel like that same backing has necessarily been showed with our government and the local leaders, especially through all of this happening. And I've had so much faith in the community I've been surrounded by, and it would be amazing if this same community was able to have that same level of faith with the people that were representing us beyond our... Yeah, beyond that. And so I don't know necessarily the steps it takes to get there, but when it comes to giving your word, the Aloha Spirit was the word that was said from before I was even here, and it rang true. So every words that you guys say when you listen to us, I mean, it would be awesome if you guys are able to back that with the level of action that I feel like the community and the people here really deserve, because everybody here has had everybody's backs from the get-go. And the only people that it's really been kind of a toss in the air with is when it comes to the local officials, really. And I know it goes so far beyond you guys and so far beyond like everything. It's just, it would be really nice to have that same level of faith in the government. And I don't know what it's going to take to get that, but it's wild not having faith in the people that are speaking for the majority. And yeah. Aloha. Thank you.
The next testifier is Ho'olai Kabanela, to be followed by Jake Kane and Ron Ciliato.
Aloha kako. My name is Ho'olai Kabanela. I come from a bunch of different Lahaina families, the Kabanelas, the Kauhanes, Kaumehivas, and the Soretanis. And so I stand here proud today just to share some mana'o. Just based off of what I've been hearing today, I feel like there's two teams here, yeah? There's the rewrite, W-R-I-T-E, and the rewrite, R-I-G-H-T, yeah? And so I think now is a good turning point for us to shift from, we keep rewriting with that W word over and over again and kind of not working, yeah? You know, so maybe we go on the rewrite side, yeah? The R-I-G-H-T. And part of that being, I think we need to put pressure, just like us as a community. We may be the irritating mosquito in your ear right now. You're hearing plenty stuff over and over again, but how about you guys be the irritating mosquito to other people? Like, let's put pressure on private developers or even Bishop Estate. Like, let's put pressure on them, you know, to take care and malama and share their land with the people that live here so that they can help us, yeah? And maybe put pressure on everybody else in the county. I think Maui County should have acquired land on this side, more land on this side a long time ago, so that should, you know, in this case of the disaster that we had, the county would have already had the land ready for, you know, temporary homes to be built. We not gotta go through Hawaiian homelands. We not gotta talk about West Maui land. We not gotta talk about all these private guys, because you know what? Maui County, we get them already. But that's not the situation we in, yeah? We're on the rewrite side. We're gonna keep rewriting the same thing and hoping for different results, yeah? I think that's the definition of insanity, yeah? You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and that's not what's happening. So I think that if we can focus on the rewrite side, you know, before more of our kupuna pass away, I think it was Puakia Nogomeyer that said, every time a kupuna passes away, that's an entire library of information that is gone. And so if we wait for, you know, all our kupuna, my uncle came up here, you know, if we wait for all these guys to pass, guess what? You're not going to have anybody else for ask how Lahaina should be, or what Lahaina should look like, or, hey, tell me again what was, you know, I know Bubba Gumps is Bubba Gumps. Now, my mom guys know him as Lahaina Broiler. Not going to have the people like that, because all our library is going to be gone. So you're not going to have the people and the resources to pull from, to continue the beauty of Lahaina. Yeah, my great-grandfather brought his brother from the Philippines, you know, and now guess what? Now families got to decide who can stay, because they got to send their family away now. They cannot keep their family here. They cannot bring anybody else from their family here. They got to send them away. So maybe if we can put pressure on everybody to rewrite instead of rewrite, you know, just a little bit mana'o there. But yeah, thank you for your guys' time. Mahalo.
Thank you, Council, for being here. Appreciate you guys. And appreciate you guys being our mouthpiece and speaking to the ears that need to hear it. The community has been amazing through this. The people who stepped up and made the hubs first was the community. The people who were in there putting out the fire was the community. The people who are going to rebuild needs to be the community. I run a small tree service on the west side. I've been doing it for 15 years. A lot of these trees that burned, I've been servicing for 15 years. We put our pride and our dignity into our work. And everybody in here does the same thing with their industry. Yeah? Everybody puts their pride and their dignity. And it hurts me to see these federal government agencies come in and hire out contractors from the East Coast. That's not acceptable. My personal experience, I got to meet the EPA arborists, 2 guys from Wisconsin. That's not right. All these people here, we could build Lahaina with these people. We don't need these government contracts going to outside sources. We need that dignity. My boys, they need the dignity to go out there and work through their pain, their loss, their suffering, to rebuild their town, to rebuild our town, to share our dignity with the rest of the community. So please be our mouthpiece. I just want to mention, I want to do a shout out to CNHA, the Council of Native Hawaiian Achievement. They've been great. They've been putting on classes. We went through some OSHA classes. They're doing HAZWOPER classes. So shout out to those guys. Another thing I'd like them to do, and maybe you guys could bring attention to it, is I know that I've fought fires with some people in the back in 2018. I was out there with the people fighting the fires. Where's the volunteer firefighters? How many? Everybody. Everybody. Where is the training class for that? Yeah, because the community is the first people to step in and save the day. So we want that. Also want to mention FEMA operates under the Stafford Act, Section 307. Real quick, I want to just read that. Stafford Act, Section 307. Preference shall be given to the extent feasible and practicable to those organizations, firms, and individuals residing or doing business primarily in the area affected by such major disaster or emergency. There's no
3 minutes.
There's no contractors that should be from outside the state. Much respect, love, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. So my question is, you had mentioned in your testimony that you had Aloha CNHA for your hazmat training, and then you mentioned, and you asked where the volunteer firefighters were. We were asking if maybe our help in seeing if CNHA would be able to maybe conduct that kind of a training too?
Yeah, whoever, I don't know who stands that up, but if you stand it up, I bet everybody in here would volunteer to go and take that class.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Chair.
We were told in committee the other day that the assessment and monitoring contract would go to a local Hawaiian-owned business, and that was the contract that would assess the trees. And I just was wondering if you guys were aware of that. I guess, is it request for qualifications or request for proposal, that they're giving out a contract to assess all the trees, and if they're in a hazard to fall down or not last 5 years, they would be removed by that contract. I was just wondering if you had heard of that one.
I'm aware of that. The problem with that is it took us a week of my wife and I and an office manager to figure out how to get registered with FEMA. Like, we're all going through so much right now to try and navigate the bureaucracy of how to get in the back door to get a contract is too much time. So we need somebody up there vetting these contractors and their subs, because they've hired the main contractor, EQM or World Solutions, to do the assessment, and then they sub out to whoever. Who's vetting them? I mean, if you guys can't find somebody to do that, then we'll set up our stations in front of the National Guard and we'll check IDs. You're from the East Coast? Go back to the East Coast. You don't have a contract here.
They had told us that no contract has been selected yet. So my understanding is they haven't selected the contract, but that they were going to select it locally.
I'm aware of that one and working on it. The one that is egregious to me is the EPA coming in immediately and meeting their 2 arborists from Wisconsin. There's over 20 arborists on Maui. There's over 100 in the state. I have all the qualifications needed to do that work. And it's not just me in the tree industry, it's everybody's industry, right? Everybody, the divers out there doing rescue operations. How many skin divers out here could go and do the rescue operations and the search work, right? Like, the community can do it.
Aloha kako, everybody. Thank you all. Just want to give my condolences to all the Ohanas and who lost homes and lost families. Yeah, just my deepest condolences. And thank you, Chair Noelani and Tamara, Vice Chair, for allowing this meeting. We really appreciate it. I represent the ILWU Union, and a little bit of history. My mom graduated from Lahaina Luna, 1958. She's still alive. She's gonna be 83. October 6th, and she's all broken up. But I lost family in this fire. I lost 2 uncles and 1 auntie. So I have 6 families lost homes. My mom was raised on this side, west side, but I was raised on the west side of Oahu. I've been with this union 40-something years. A little bit about this union. The containers that coming in to the docks, the Kaiser mobile medical stuff coming to the docks was all expedited, whatever we got. Our number one goal was to get water, food, medical supplies for the kapuna. All the kapuna that when talk, I really love you guys so much. But my boss, the president of this union for Hawaii, number one goal was to get supplies in. We had guys, boots on the ground. You guys probably know who was. They was going through everything. Guys was telling them stop. They was telling them F. FEMA Red Cross wanted to get involved with them. They told them no. We're going to do what we got to do for the community. Nobody's stopping us. We're coming straight, full on. So all politics on the side, there's something about the union. I mean, people get good and bad thoughts about the union, but we here to support everybody, every single one of you guys, also you guys. And we want everybody to work together in this because it's going to take the whole state of Hawaii for rebuild Lahaina. Not going to take just Lahaina, going to take the whole state. And if we can expedite stuff through the budgets for anybody, feel free to call the president of the union because he's heartbroken. He's on Oahu, Chris West, but he's an unreal guy. We all hurt him. Another thing we want to do, first of all, I'm sorry, I thank them, but I forget to thank the GM, Josh Harshgrove. He allowed us to have this meeting here, and I hope we're going to get 1,000 more meetings here with all you guys here, because we need you guys for speak and be the ones that will rebuild Lahaina, not nobody else. And then one other thing is the jobs. Us guys, union guys, we want the jobs to stay in the union. We get carpenters, we get backyard guys who can work carpentry, plumbing, electrical, whatever. We don't need license permit.
3 minutes.
Okay, and then I just want to end this with thank you, aloha, everybody. I love all you guys, and we have a booth on the corner over there. Please come read the resolution that we're trying to speed up the process of you guys rebuilding. Please come and look at that booth and share your manao with us so we know what we're going to do going forward. Thank you.
Thank you all. We are going to go to lunch right now. We're going to go to lunch right now to return at 1:30. This meeting is now in recess.